Hey, business building warrior, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio. We love to talk to the successful students from our community who are using the internet creatively to launch and grow multiple income streams. Most of the time around here, when we interview a student, it's someone who's using the Amazon seller training that we have inside the Proven Amazon course, and they've built a beautiful business based on those strategies. But today, we've got someone who's been in the community much longer than that. The gentleman you're about to hear from, his name's Ben. He's now a coach on our team as well, but he's been in our community for way over a decade, maybe 15 years, something like that. We'll hear it in the story here in a moment. But the thing I love about his story is he's struggled, he's risen, he's crashed and burned, he's risen again, he's flamed out, he's had weird legal things happen to him, he's had competitors do strange things to him. And this is all before Amazon even came on the scene. He's been doing e-commerce as long as I have in different ways. And there's not a lot of us out there like that. And I think if you just listen to his story, hear the things he's talking about, it's going to be a little peek behind the curtains of what this e-commerce adventure has looked like for a couple decades. Now, if you want to skip that part and you just want to hear the Amazon part and the parts that are relevant for today and for now and the things that you could go do, well, I would encourage you to listen to the rest of it. There's so many good lessons in the stories he has today. There is some great content at the end talking about a couple partners he's working with now. They've got a $70,000 a month business helping brands get onto Amazon and just how organically they stepped into that. If you've got even basic Amazon seller skills, you could be helping brands get on Amazon. It's one of the modules in our Proven Amazon course library, actually. When you buy the Proven Amazon course, you get all the modules day one instantly. And one of them is the proven product partnering. And that's a significant part of Ben's income now, is that business model. But we don't talk about that till towards the end of the episode. And I'll stick a note in the show notes when that part starts, because this is a longer episode. And if, like I said, if you want to skip over the early days of eBay and some of the things he's done, you can skip right to that part and hear some of that part of the story. But I really think you'll benefit from hearing the journey. I mean, he had police show up at his place and slap handcuffs on him because he didn't have the right license to be selling the car parts he was selling on eBay at one point. Crazy stuff like that. Just for me, a very interesting journey. And hopefully you agree that it is a longer episode. So I wanted to do the service of saying, hey, we'll stick a link in the show notes to where you can kind of pop into the current day and what he's got hopping right now. He's doing some liquidations and you'll hear him talk about it. We emphasize this in the audio today as well. You can go to liquidation, buy these pallets and such. Do not sell that stuff on Amazon. You're crazy to do so. It's a very unnecessary risk. He's had trouble with it, even doing it just with eBay and Facebook Marketplace, and he shares very transparently. But there's some opportunity there. But the thing I want you to listen to today, something that I think is very important for you to understand, is there's a difference between putting some money in the bank, running on a hamster wheel, hustling, and building a real business that you can step away from, that you can sell at some point, that's an asset that you're growing, that can be handed to someone else and they can take over. That's a very important distinction, because if you're just looking to hustle, put some money in the bank, that's great. Typically, you're newer, younger into the industry, you're a little more maybe desperate for some resources. Go that route. We can help you. Very easy skills for you to learn, doesn't cost you any money even. Hit some yard sales, that sort of thing. He talks about that today. But when you're ready to build a real business, we're here to help. You can get over to silentjim.com, say our coaching link, and sign up for a conversation with us. We'd love to talk about your e-commerce journey, see if maybe a coach is right for you. Maybe you just need the Proven Amazon course. Maybe all you need is our free podcast. That's great too. But if you got some time to listen to a couple guys reminiscing about the history and their journey, about 20 years through e-commerce, Ben has been doing this a long time. Like I said, he's seen some highs and lows, and he shares very transparently today. The first time he's ever shared his story too, which is really cool. So hopefully you're encouraged by that as well. But God bless you, business building warrior. So glad you're a part of our community. I'm going to get Ben on the line right now. Enjoy our conversation. So Ben, welcome to Silent Sales Machine Radio.
Hey, Jim, how you doing?
I'm blessed, man. It's good to see you again, my friend.
Nice to see you too. So, hey, full disclosure here, I'm a little bit nervous, okay? This is actually going way out of my comfort zone, because a lot of times, when I was a lot younger, I got really nervous in certain situations. And matter of fact, if you could believe this, when I was a kid, I wanted to be an actor and a singer. So I was used to be very comfortable with this kind of thing.
Sure.
And it was one moment in time. I just went to high school right after going to a grade school. It was a Catholic school that I knew everybody and was very comfortable. I got on stage, I did plays, I sang the whole nine yards. And then I went to a guidance class, my first day of high school in a big, big school.
New place.
And yeah, and they just said, "Hey, who wants to read this poem?" And every kid put their head down, like, "Oh no, 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 not don't pick me, don't pick me." And me, hey, very expressive. I'm Italian. I'm like, I'll do it. So I grab the poem and I start reading it, and I'm very expressive. I'm doing my thing,
Yeah.
and little by little, I noticed that all the kids were staring at me and just really peering into my soul, just like, and I just got this overwhelming feeling like I was not accepted. I guess you're on
Mhm.
edge your first day at a new place.
Yeah, sure.
And honestly, I had a panic attack.
Wow.
And at that point, I just went and just disenrolled from all my drama classes.
That's
For the
so
entire
sad, man.
rest of my life, I could not do this ever again. And so here I am, 53 years old,
Yeah.
and I just realized, I joined the mentorship program, not the mentorship,
Mastermind. You were in
the
a
the
mastermind group
mastermind,
from the
correct,
last conference,
in
right?
the last conference. And I didn't want to do it. I was just
Mhm.
petrified. And I said, you know what? If I'm ever going to move forward and start to make some progress beyond where I'm at right now, I just got to get out of my comfort zone and do things
Yes.
like this. So I did that. Glad I did it. And this was a big one for me,
Man,
but I'm glad
congratulations
I
and
did.
thank you.
Thank you.
It truly is an honor. And I think that's going to encourage some other people because I know,
I
I
hope
mean, I
so.
talked to these people. We've had, 11 live events and our 12th one's coming up May of 2024. And you're going to be there, right? That's going to be so
Oh,
great.
absolutely.
But I've talked to a lot of people who say, "Oh, they've just got these incredible stories. Like, would you please get on the podcast?" And their excuse or reason or rationale is,
Yeah.
I can't do something like that.
Yeah.
So let me say to them something that I've said to you in the past as well. And when I've seen people take this journey, a necessary part of your growth in business is using your voice, using your face, getting out there, sharing what you know, sharing your story, telling people who you are, what you do. And I'm so sorry for that, young high school kid that, they're probably no one in the room is thinking what you thought they were thinking, but it doesn't take much when you're
Absolutely.
that age, man. I mean,
No.
I remember those moments. We all had those moments where like, okay, my social life is over. I just totally destroyed my chances at having any kind of normal dating life or,
Oh,
you
it
trip in the
is.
hallway or something, right? And it sticks with you for life,
For
man.
life. It's
So
it's like working out, right? It takes you forever to build up this strength and these muscles, then you stop for a
mhm.
week or 2 and you're flabby again. It's like, "What?
Yeah, it's
Why?"
easy. The default condition is to isolate, and e-commerce is a lonely thing, and you
Absolutely.
don't need to compound it by hiding.
Yeah.
And that's become the greatest predictor. Just if I can soapbox for a minute, that I've discovered the
Please
greatest
do.
predictor of who makes it and who doesn't is the people who are willing to build relationships with intentionality, have conversations, get in a mastermind group, go to meetups, go to live events. Those people make it. People that struggle are the people that stay home, try to do it themselves, maybe jump on the Facebook group once in a while to see what's up. But that's about it, man. Those people, they struggle
Yeah.
consistently. You need relationships. And it's even, I always have a copy of one of my favorite business books right here, Business
I
Secrets
read
from
it.
the Bible by
Awesome.
Daniel Lappin. He's going to be our keynote speaker in May, by the way, at the Proven Conference. And we'll get into e-commerce here in a minute, I promise
Yeah.
everyone. But listeners, but he mentions in a couple chapters in there, it's several very specific tips, biblical strategies. Regardless of worldview, these things apply. And basically, the summary of it is, if you're going to do business successfully, you're going to need some basic math. And
Yep.
just as important is you're going to need some basic speaking, presenting, meeting people, using your voice, using your face, going places, talking to people, telling them what you do. You can't succeed just sitting quietly behind your keyboard hitting buttons. It just
That's
doesn't
so
work.
true.
It's not
You
sustainable.
think you think you can, you know what I'm saying? Because it's easy in the sense of, "Oh, I could do this,"
Mhm.
but you hit a wall really, really fast, and
You
and
do.
and I've hit that wall multiple times, and I know this is what I've been lacking. So I'm hoping that this encourages a lot of people
It
who may
will.
be going through some of the same things I am.
Mhm.
And look, man, just throw you. What's the worst thing that could happen? My voice might tremble. I might, just stutter through some things. But the
Have
truth
to
of the
repeat
matter is,
yourself or something. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But the truth of the matter is, I do love helping people. I have done some courses and things. I have got up in front of a class and was able to teach people how to do e-commerce. And the love of that is what pushed me through it. And after a little while,
Good for you.
the nervousness went away, and I feel it's starting to dissipate
Yeah,
already.
you
So
make it about the other people. You know,
exactly, exactly.
my mentor challenged me again, Rabbi Daniel Lapp, and he said, "Jim, yeah, I don't want you to ever speak with notes or slides ever again."
Right.
Like, what?
Yeah.
You
How am
kidding
I going
me?
to do that?
But yeah, the last couple of conferences I hop up, I'm the opening speaker, and I'm probably going to keep it a lot shorter this year. But I bring other guests up, and we have things to do. But I just, I memorize a short bullet point in my head, and that's the stuff we're going to talk about. And I did it like an hour and a half, and I went from being ridiculously nervous the first
Yeah,
event we ever had, sweating and could stammering through reading off my notes, and but it's a skill you learn, you develop, and it serves you very, very well to do so. So congratulations! And the reason
thank
we
you.
spent so much time at the start of this one today, I love hearing your story, Ben, and I love telling stories about me. Everyone does. But the main reason we're doing this is to encourage other people to hop on the podcast. If you've got a story to
Absolutely.
share, how this community or this podcast has served you well and
Mhm.
helped improve your life, your business, your money, dude, let us know. Hey, hop on here like Ben's doing, being very brave today, man. Appreciate you, dude.
Hey, I feel good about it, and I do want to. I do have tons of stories. Got engaged in school. She's from Binghamton, New York. It's about 2 hour drive west of Albany. So she graduated before me, and then we moved out to Binghamton, and we got married in '94. And I went to work right away for both IBM and Lockheed Martin. I was working as a contractor. But the next defining moment was when they came up to me. I was at Lockheed Martin, and my manager came up to me and said, "Hey, congratulations, you're Employee of the Month." Fantastic. What I get? Hand me an envelope. Inside this envelope, kid you not, no one ever believes me. It's God's honest truth. McDonald's coupons, movie tickets.
Wow.
I don't remember what the third thing was.
I thought you were
I
going to
thought,
say a $50,000 check or something.
no, no. And they said, I said, "Oh, good one." And I literally handed it back to my manager laughing. I was like, "You got me." And he got all serious and said, "Ben, look, times are tough, man. This is it." And I said, "Oh, if this is the pinnacle of my existence here," I said, "I quit."
On the
He
spot,
hands on the spot. He
dude.
hands me your Employee of the Month, and I quit. And I was like,
That's
he was
awesome.
just stupefied. And I was just like, absolutely, I'm not going to do it. So I opened up my computer store in upstate New York. And this
That's
was,
great.
gosh, right, probably late 90s. It was a little bit of a chance I took, but I really believed in it. Called up one of my frat brothers. I said, "Dude, let's start a business, man." And he's like, "What do you want to do?" I was going to open up a computer store. I did that. And that's what got me on the road to e-commerce. But what I did was when I first started selling computers, we were assembling them, servicing and supporting them.
Sure.
And I enjoyed the business, I really do. But I had so many people who would try to do it, who would come to me, and they didn't want to pay top prices to Dell and Gateway and all those guys, but they wanted my support.
Mhm.
And I was just like, "Look, you can't have both. You have my support, you got to pay a little bit of a premium."
Yeah.
And so I struggled with that business, and then decided instead of selling computers, I was going to rent them. So I started putting them in cafes and hotels, and we ran a public internet business.
Hmm.
And the next lesson I learned from that was I had a customer on the phone, and I was super excited to talk to him about it. He was grilling me about these internet vending machines, right? Because it was a vending business. I put him in a cafe. I'll never forget the day. First week I went to go empty the machine, and I know you were in the vending business, right? You did something similar, like a vending.
25 years ago, had a vending route that I'd grown
Yeah.
up in.
Yeah. And it's a cool business, right? But
It's
let me
fun.
tell you, when I went to this cafe and I opened up that, because what I did was I created a metal box. I had a machine shop build me a metal box, put the dollar bill acceptor in there, and found some software called Net Stop or something like that, and
Yeah.
plugged in the dollar bill acceptor into the software. And then it would just, anytime somebody put a dollar in, it would dial up the modem, and you'd hear the, all that,
Good.
those sounds. And people were putting ones, fives, tens, and 20s. So I would go once a week, and I have a picture somewhere. Maybe I can have you put it on this, because it's just loaded with bills. And people were in the cafe or drinking coffee. They're like, "Dude, I'm in the wrong business," because they see the machine. I
Stacked.
loved it. I loved it. I had such a blast doing that, but very short lived. That's basically the start of my e-commerce journey. Is we started selling these cars on eBay. Funny thing was, we would put wrecked cars up for sale on eBay. They'd soup them up, and I mean, they made them look great with the paint and the stickers and the whole 9 yards. So we would then first we would repair them and make them look good and sell them. Then we decided, let's try to sell wrecked cars. In other words, let's not fix them.
Hmm.
So instead of doing all the improvements to the car, we would pull off the nasty looking torn up pieces. we would detail the inside of a wrecked car and then take pictures and sell them. And we sold them as fixer-upper cars. And we were one of the first ones on eBay to sell fixer-upper
Right.
vehicles.
You got other
And
people into that business model. We helped a lot of people, and I mean, it's been 20 years ago, but that was a
absolutely.
hot opportunity there for
Yep.
a couple years at least, right?
Oh, yeah. Yep. And just, oh, I forgot one thing. It's easy to jump from one thing to another. I mean, there's
Oh, sure.
so much. And then me as a computer guy who could do software, oh my gosh, everything I would see was just like turn it into a program it, right?
Mhm.
But time is your most limited asset. And but then okay, I'll try to zip through this last part. But it's very important. So we got the car business going. So one weird thing that happened in upstate New York is we had a policeman come by one day and he's like, "Hey guys, no." So we ended up when the two cars sold, I made all that money. I shut down the computer business and I pivoted into. I was suddenly a salvage car dealer. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" It's like, just bear with me. We'll get there. She's a saint, by the way. She deserves a medal for dealing with me all these years.
Oh,
I
the
mean, the
spouse of
poor
entrepreneurs
woman.
always
Oh,
do. Yeah.
I mean, there's got to, God's going to be like, just go.
Mhm.
Just go.
She needs to go to
Oh,
my wife's session at our
yeah, that's
conference.
what I
It's
keep
always
telling her.
very popular.
I'm gonna
They
teach her
laugh
the
at
way.
us.
Absolutely.
Like, just to steal a line from my wife's presentations, she'll say, "Hey, when they come to you with their latest idea, don't roll your eyes. Don't say how, just say wow." And they'll go away and probably never do it anyway.
So true. I can almost see the look on her face when I bring some. So now I just temper it down a little bit. I just feel, oh, I might do this or I might do that. But anyway, so the cop came by and he's like, "This looks awfully fishy, guys. You've
Mm,
got you've got. I see a lot of wrecked cars here. I don't see a lot of customers coming in." And I said, Have a seat. I'll show you exactly what I do." So I went through. I showed him my listings, the eBay listing, took him around the shop and everything else. They didn't stop. One day in the morning, I went to go get my fingerprints done to apply for a dealer license in
oh,
the
okay.
state of Michigan to be able to buy cars there. And I go back to our shop, and I get a call from a guy. He's like, "Hey, I saw this part on eBay, and I want to come and pick it up. It's okay if I pay with cash?" And it's like, "Well, I won't be here, but my partner Lad will, and come on in, and let him know you're coming." I went to the DMV to get my dealer license and submit my fingerprints. I get a call from them. Absolute pandemonium in the background. It was a sting operation.
No
They
way.
came in. They brought my partner brought the car part out, gave him the cash, slapped the cuffs on him, arrested him. It's a felony in New York State to sell parts without a dismantler's license. I had a
What?
salvage license
There's a
and I had a parts license. The parts license is not good.
a salvage line.
You needed a dismantler's license.
That's insane.
And
Are
like
you
I just
kidding
said,
me?
I'm very reserved. I'm very shy. I walked into the same troopers barracks that I got my fingerprints done that morning, and my partner's in the same exact spot.
Getting
It
his
was like
fingerprints done because 'cause he's been
Twilight,
arrested.
Twilight
Oh
Zone
my
material.
gosh.
I walked in there
That's
swearing like a
nuts.
truck driver, and a cop had to grab me and drag me into his office. He's like, "Are you out of your mind? Do you know where you are?" I was like, "Yes, I do, because I was here this morning, and now my partner's getting his fingerprints." I'm like, "Please tell me what the crime is." And he goes, "Did you do something to a customer, or did you have a competitor?" I was like, "Maybe, I don't know." And he's like, "Because this came from the DMV."
Mm.
And later on, I remembered one customer that bought a car from us, and he did request that we repair the vehicle and get it ready. It was an Acura. And we started the work on it. It was about 3 days into it. And he calls me and says, "Hey, rip up that deposit check because my customer bailed on me, so I won't be taking the car." I'm like, "Well, I already started paying, guys, so I can't rip up the deposit check." And he said, "You don't want to bleep with me." And I said, "Sir, I am just doing business
An
here. You
angry
asked for
customer.
work." He hung
Yeah.
up the phone.
Yeah,
That
he
may
and he
were
went after you.
Yes.
Wow.
Shut the business down. I had to prove ownership of every vehicle on the lot. And we moved the business from New York to Georgia because of that. My partner just said, "Look, I don't want to be in New York anymore." I said, "I don't either. My
Can't
wife's
blame
not
him.
going to move." So he was 10 years younger. He brought the wife and family. He
Yeah.
moved down to Georgia. We
Wow.
transplanted the business down there. So got the business going there. And I was doing it remotely. I was still listing cars. We started doing more wholesale. We got that business up to about $8 million a year. But I will say this, the margins were razor thin.
Yeah.
And it was a very false sense of security because you see the big checks, you see things moving,
Yeah.
but you really weren't making a whole heck of a lot of money. And I kind of turned a blind eye to it. Finally, my wife agreed. Her job was, she wasn't happy with the job. She's like, all right, I'll take the leap, move the family down to Georgia. When we moved down there, the business kept growing, doing well, like I said, but we borrowed money to get that business going. And floor plans, you're familiar with floor plans? Basically, they provide you a line of credit and they hold the title. So you go to the auction, like you have this massive line of credit, you just buy cars and they put it on your tab and they keep the title as collateral. And then when you sell the car, you pay it off and they send you the title and you give it to the customer. A lot of dealers
in bulk. Yeah.
But it's essentially mafia money, honestly. And I learned that the hard way. And that's what happened. It came to a crashing halt. So we did that for quite some time. We were in that business about 8 years, but I stopped doing everything else because I figured this is my retirement. So I did put all those eggs in one basket. And one day the guys came along and said, you know what? You're selling cars. It used to be 30-day turnaround, and now you're at 40 days. We're gonna pull some of that line of credit back. So they cut the lines 35% overnight. And I think we had like 1.5 million in buying power, and that dropped down to whatever. And we already had that line pegged. Right. And I knew that was the end of that business. I knew game over. Yeah. And I'll never forget the day I stood there in front of that window and watched as a fleet of tow trucks came in and plucked every last vehicle off our lot.
Put them all on flatbeds and drove them away.
Liquidated them for pennies on the dollar.
Wow. And I could have done that for so much more.
I told them, and see, some of those cars, because they were salvage, we knew we had to do something. So we started buying motors, replacing engines. We started adding value to the vehicles. They had no idea what we did.
Right.
So
that's sad.
Yeah.
Everyone lost.
And then I get this polite letter from their attorney saying, dear Mr. Menino, so we have just liquidated all of your assets and you owe us $300,000. Please write a check and mail it to this address. It was like literally a one-page thing. And they honestly thought we had, like, because we were doing such volume, they thought we had accounts in Switzerland and you were hiding. Dude, I'm done. I have nothing. And I told them, I was like, if you liquidate all these cars, you're not going to get anything. You can't squeeze water out of a stone,
Yeah, right.
And I was financially destroyed. And that was 2014. So after the peak, when we were doing $8 million a year, it all went to zero.
Yeah, coming up on 10 years ago.
And everything, all my eggs in one basket. That's when God came to the rescue, because I was depressed is not even the word, because I had risked everything. I promised my family the sun, the moon, and the stars, and I failed miserably. And that was a very rough time.
Wow. Have you shared this story publicly before?
A few people, but not publicly. No.
It's incredible. I just wanted to express some gratitude, man, because there's a lot of transparency here, and it's not an uncommon story either. And we just wrapped it up right here. It's like, well, okay, what's the next chapter going to be? But man, I've heard, and not unsimilar to the story of mine. And I've never gone completely broke, but I tried a bunch of different stuff that some of it lasted for a while. Some of it just about broke me. Those lessons, the things you learn along the way are valuable, because we have some people come in. One of my favorite questions to ask now is, have you ever run a business before? I don't care if it succeeded or failed. Kind of irrelevant. You're going to learn a lot of the same lessons either way. And for people who say, no, never have, I'm like, man, your perception of how the world works is very different from reality. Because if you want a big dose of reality, try to run a profitable business. You're going to get smacked in the face with reality all day, every day, whether you like it or not, even the days you don't feel like it, right? You've been on that road, man. So kudos to you. And coming up on 30 years married too.
Business building warriors, man.
Yeah, there's a reason we call you warriors, man.
I try to think of myself, as Rocky and as just Ivan Drago beating the crap out of me. And
you have to.
I keep getting up. I keep getting up, and I'm bloodied and battered, and I'm like, I can't stop.
Yeah. Oh, you're back for more, huh? It's like, yep, here I am. Here I am. You bring it. What do you got for me today? It's either going to be the government, or it's going to be someone you thought you could trust that you can't anymore, or it's going to be a supplier that you thought was in, or a price that you thought was set, or a customer that you thought was going to pay. It's something.
Jim,
And
those
you,
lenders were our best buddies.
oh,
And the
sure.
guy that used to take us out to dinner, he ended up cutting the locks on our lot.
Mhm.
And we had him on camera. And he was looking around thinking we were hiding cars behind him. He cut the locks
Mm.
and came in, saying that it was in the contract he was allowed to do that.
Wow.
But after that, so I was at my
God came
lowest point.
in.
God came in, and check this out. This one's gonna put some chills on up your spine here. I started. I'm like, what do I do now? Now I have this computer engineering degree, but you know as well as I do, if you don't use a computer engineering degree for 10, 11 years,
It's
bro,
useless. A couple of years.
cracker jack box, man.
Yeah.
Throw it away. It's useless. So, but I have to try, right? So I start sending whatever the website was back then, Indeed, something. I started sending out 40, 50 resumes.
Mhm.
I got one response. And it was a food startup of all things, right? I wanted to get into the food business and they wanted an IT manager. And it said, and when I tell you, Jim, that this thing lit up off the page, like it was just took, the wording was looking for an IT manager, understanding that times change and your skill set may not be up to date, prefer business experience. And I
Hmm.
was like, now the money
That's me.
wasn't great,
Yeah.
but I didn't need money at this point.
Yeah.
You know what I needed, right? And I was like, I emailed and I was like, here's my thing, here's my resume. I attached it. I get an email back. And I told my wife, I called her, I was like, hun, something, I'm feeling it. This is something. She's like, okay, let's see what happened. Boom. Come in for an interview. Never forget it. I go there. It's a converted pizzeria. Chef Christoph is in the back. So it was a food delivery. Like, so they would make meals and we would sell them and deliver them here in Atlanta. But when I went there, I walk in my 3-piece suit. You know, I hadn't done an interview in forever. And there is my, well, spoiler alert, right? My boss slash business partner now. But there he is sitting down and he must have just finished a game of tennis. He was in shorts and a t-shirt, you know. So I'm like, oh, okay, whatever. I sat down. He starts grilling me about the car business, not anything else. I had to put it on my resume. I had to explain what I was doing for the last how many years.
Sure.
He starts asking me very specific questions. And I'm like, man, is this guy trying to qualify me or disqualify me? We talked for an hour and a half. We got into the startup, the business, the funding, you know, and it's just like boom, boom, boom. We're just hitting it off. So when we're all done, he says to me, I said, listen, I'm not going to lie to you. I said, I'm in kind of a down spot right here and I could really use a job and I just want to know what my odds are. And he's like, I wouldn't give you an hour and a half of my time if I wasn't 100% convinced that you're the guy for me. He's like, you're probably wondering why I was asking you so much about the car business. Ready? My family owned a salvage car auction.
No way.
We bought 80% of our inventory from his auctions. Their auctions, they sold to a big major company that does salvage auctions, multi-million-dollar sale. Now they're investing the proceeds. One door closes, the other door opens.
Wow.
How on earth, you tell me,
Yeah.
how do I send out 40 resumes? One person replies,
It's
gets
that
better.
guy. Yeah.
I was on the phone with him 5 years prior.
You
5
guys
years prior, I
talked and
spoke
met.
to him.
Yeah.
Just see, my partner would always go to the
Passing.
auctions.
Sure.
I was the guy in the office. So
Yeah.
we both just like went, wow. And today, he not only gave me a job and I've been an IT manager ever since. He has multiple companies and I'm still part-time with him.
Mhm.
And I do, you know, support all his companies and he gives me benefits for that. But he also and I told him, I was like, look, I will work for you and I'll be your best employee, but I need to get a business going at some time again. I was like, it's just in me. He understood 100%. He's an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And he funded this new e-commerce company that I have right now.
Pardon the interruption. We'll get back to the show in just a moment, but I've got to tell you about the sponsor that we have today, Humminbird, Humbird, humminbird.com. There's a link in the show notes. They provide services for all your trademarks, corporate setup, branding, marketing, and tax advising as well as we enter that time of the year where taxes are on the mind of especially those of us here in the United States. How do you most efficiently handle the challenges of making sure you get all of your deductions, taking care of all your tax concerns, making sure you do it right without paying too much as an e-commerce seller, as an Amazon business building warrior? They've got some incredible services that you should go check out at humminbird.com. That's spelled HUMNBIRD.com. let's get back to the program.
He not only gave me a job, and I've been an IT manager ever since. He has multiple companies, and I'm still part-time with him.
Mhm.
And I do, support all his companies, and he gives me benefits for that. But he also and I told him, I was like, look, I will work for you and I'll be your best employee, but I need to get a business going at some time again. I was like, it's just in me. He understood 100%. He's an entrepreneur. I'm an entrepreneur. And he funded this new e-commerce company that I have right now.
Wow. That's amazing. Yeah, call them divine appointments.
Wild.
I have
No,
so many
no
stories like
doubt. No doubt in my mind.
the one person on the planet that could connect at that level and solve the problems you had and bring your past experiences, your past failures even, and turn them into assets. Like how many people could have taken your past failures and turned them into assets that day in an
Exactly.
hour and a half conversation?
Absolutely.
5 people on the planet maybe, and you sat down to lunch with one of them,
Yep.
the
I
best one
mean,
of the 5.
incredible. To this day, it gives me chills.
That's
It's
amazing.
just wild.
Yeah, that's just I mean, that's when you turn your problems over to God, man, you call out and like, "Hey, okay."
And there was a lot of
Right.
praying going on right there,
Yep,
Jim,
that's
as you
right.
can
Yeah.
probably imagine.
Oh, yeah,
I
yeah.
was stripped bare to my very
Mhm.
core and just
Yeah,
like, but I got to say this though, I took those risks, right? My family
sure.
did,
Yeah.
as a dad, as someone, that is the most painful thing any father could ever experience, husband and father could ever experience. You make a decision, right? And yes, I truly believe with everything in my heart and soul that I could do this. And entrepreneurs do. But I was humbled to realize that I don't control everything, man. And it's like you can only do so much. And it really knocked me down. And I said, okay, I'm going to do this right the next time around. So I went to work, did the 9 to 5 thing. It was great having a boss who was an entrepreneur because we would brainstorm. So I got to scratch the entrepreneurial itch without having to put any money on the table. And obviously, financially, I had to rebuild. I had to totally rebuild because I was wiped out. And my wife's been a trooper ever since. She's really hung in there. And what drives me right now, as you can imagine, is to make up for what because there's failures and then there's like failures, and I'm going to make this right and I'm going to do it the right way. So I started over, but I started slowly
Mhm,
and just building up one little brick at a time, because like you always say, that fast curve up,
mhm. It's scary.
higher you go, harder you
Wealth
fall.
hastily gained is soon departed. It's a proverb, man. Yep, and
Absolutely.
you don't have to look very far to see
Oh yeah.
examples of it everywhere. The vast majority of people that win the lottery, doesn't matter how much it is, their
Mhm.
life is a wreck. It's a disaster within a very short period of time,
Oh yeah.
in one way or another, right? Some of the most
So
miserable people I knew had all kinds of money,
yeah.
right?
Oh
So
yeah.
you
No.
don't have to lose all your money to have a miserable life.
And it's very deceiving when you see big checks
Yeah,
coming in because you
yeah,
think
yeah,
I'm good, man. As long as that
mhm,
money's coming in, I don't need to worry about it.
yeah,
It's not
mhm,
that way.
yep,
So now I have 2 businesses right now, right? So what after all of that, I said, okay, I'm just going to start dabbling. And I started, let me go back to eBay, let me go back to Amazon. And I started doing that. I joined the coaching program. So I did that for a little while. And then I got into private label. Dun, dun. So my wife's cousin said, Ben, I believe in you. I'm going to put some money down and let's start an Amazon business. So I started doing private label, and I did these necklaces, the essential oil necklaces. I had a good friend who sold essential oils through what's one of the Young Living, and she says that and I saw the market was hot, so I started it, built a brand, and started doing. This is probably 2015, I think. Exactly what you say about private label is 100% true. It crashed and burned. It was great for a while, but I was selling them for 12, 13, $15 at that price point. Here come the vultures, man, and the
yeah,
price just tanked, and that one went kaput.
yeah,
So time and time again, your failures are not failures. Your failures
mhm,
can be massive successes. So don't
mhm,
even ever think, and I'm talking to the people, to the listeners here, don't think that when you struggle or you scrape your knee or whatever, something really bad, someone else, that can turn into something great if you just zoom the camera angle. Obviously, we're humans, we have emotions. I was really down, and that's why I say that God came in when he did, because if he didn't, I don't know where I was going at that point. Honestly, I was at my darkest, worst point in my life. And I got that spark, that little bit of hope to start going in the direction. But I've learned that that's always there. That's always there. And this community has always been, the podcast, listen to it all the time. Why? It's just like you're in your car, wasting time just driving. What am I going to do? Pop that on there. By the time you get to your destination, business number 5 is no, but I'm just saying, like, you just feel that incredible boost. And, you just know, you hear people's stories, like you said, people who are in 10 times worse situation than you ever will be, who are killing it. And it's just
Hmm.
like, man,
Helps
remember the
destroy
guy
those
you said
excuses.
who is
Yeah.
blind and he's doing
Yeah.
this. He's blind. I
Yeah.
mean, what are we complaining about? You know?
Right.
All right, I'll shut up now. That was a lot.
No,
But please ask me questions, because I know I just dumped a bunch of stuff, and I'd love
yeah,
to.
that was quite a timeline, quite a story, man. And that was, yeah, but I think it's going to impact a lot of people to hear just all the ups and downs and where you're at now, and the confidence you have now, and that you found some things that are truly dialed in and working well for you. I do want to hear a little bit more about the business model. You said that you've got the two brothers working with you now, and I didn't catch exactly what it is that they're doing though.
Okay,
What's that business?
so because they were already in the business of producing food, and they were making food from scratch, but they had
Mhm.
connections with all the suppliers. They would buy all the ingredients
Are they
and
helping those brands get on Amazon then?
exactly.
Yeah.
See, so
Okay.
they already have all those connections.
Right.
But what happened was they started with just, hey, let's go to the distributors. We were already, some of those distributors were selling their products, but
Sure.
they had the relationship, and they said, what do you have? They're from Colombia. So they
Yeah.
started there,
Yeah.
and let's try some of these candies, snacks. And oh, wow, they understand the product. They created listings. It came easy to them because they were so used to it, and they were able to quickly climb the ladder. But every step along the way, right? So starting off with just the basic products, they'd run into a snag. Never, ever did it ever stop them. They would just go, okay, how do we work around this?
Right.
They would learn YouTube videos, study, and then they'd go, okay. So it's been a slow progression, but when I say slow, that's comical, right? Because it's been less than a year. So we're talking from zero, and right now we're probably $70,000 per month in sales. Probably margins are in the low 20s, I would say. But now, because they would run into things like with Goya, right? Okay, we're selling Goya products. Talk to them, and Goya has their own brand.
Right.
And so they realize we have to have our own brand. You know what I'm saying? Like, so all the things that are taught here on a pretty regular basis, they've kind of just evolved into that very, very rapidly. And they're at the point now, because they have the skill of making food, is they're starting to create some of their own spice mixes. What they see is selling well. They
Hmm.
go, wait a second, we can make our own private label version of that. And it's low risk. They never take big risks. They just do simple
Small
tests along
tests.
the way.
Yeah. Is this
Um,
on your Amazon selling account or
so
theirs?
we have a separate account. We created a brand new account, the three of
Right.
us.
Okay.
And so that's all dedicated to that company and that brand.
Very good.
So yeah, they're at the point now where, and they're just expanding, talking to different brands, going to the shows, the food shows that they always have gone to, but now they're
Mhm.
going booth to booth, talking to the
Yeah.
guys that create different
They've basically
products.
opened an agency. Around here, we call it the proven product partnering model, helping
Absolutely,
brands get on Amazon and
absolutely.
establish a presence. They don't want to mess with it themselves. It's
Oh yeah.
so expansive. It's a
And
massive.
I mentioned them to Jonathan when I was at the event. And Jonathan's here in Georgia, so he came down and we all had lunch together. And he loves the guys, and he love him, and they were just kind of brainstorming, and they're all like, it was really, really cool. A
Yeah.
lot of fun.
Yeah, man, it's a huge opportunity, and anyone with basic Amazon selling skills can start talking to brands and do the same thing. It's one of the modules inside the Proven Amazon course. Proven Product
Mhm.
Partnering teaches you the things you need to know to launch. And once you got a few happy brands, your
Oh,
reputation carries you forward. And we've seen some people pick up a lot of accounts very quickly with that strategy. Yeah, very
and I
cool,
know a
man.
lot of your listeners are probably that probably scares them, right? And for me, it was frightening. And when I watched them do it so effortlessly, I realized one thing. When you start talking about what you know,
Mhm.
those brands look at you like you are just,
Yeah.
wow, man, you are
They've never heard of
super.
FBA. They've never heard,
It,
they don't know what an
it,
ASIN is. They don't know
I
what it
mean,
means to set up a new listing based on the keywords that some of your competitors are using. What's it mean to you? What do you mean I need to have a good headline on the listing? They don't know any of that.
Exactly.
It's
And
just
you
the fact
become
that
more
you,
empowered when you start talking about that. Like don't approach these people thinking, "Oh my gosh, oh my gosh." No, you're just having a conversation with them. "Hey,
yeah,
have you ever thought about Amazon?"
yeah,
"Well,
you're
yeah,
solving
but
a
we don't know
problem.
what to do." And then you
Yeah,
just start talking about what you know,
mhm,
like you're conversing with a buddy. And
yeah,
next thing you know, they're like, "Can you help me?"
mhm,
Wow, and naturally that will progress to the point. Then of course, yeah, you're going to be like, "I don't know what to do." That's what the group is for, right?
mhm,
That's what the course is for. It's all
mhm,
there. Somebody's done that. You
yeah,
don't even have to worry. And I know the guys have like an affiliate program, right? You just connect them and hand it over to the guys. And you can get a percentage and they'll do all the heavy lifting. So there's so many opportunities beyond, and that's a way for you to slowly just start getting your confidence up to where you could do it yourself. But
right.
at the beginning, you're just helping people and it feels amazing. So do
Yeah,
it.
just having conversations. I want
Yeah.
to make sure too that we're clear with everyone. You mentioned liquidations and you're doing really well with them, but you're selling on eBay and Facebook Marketplace. You're not selling liquidations on Amazon. That can get you in trouble very quickly, right?
Very, very quickly.
Very
And
careful
I
with that.
did at the beginning, I learned that lesson the hard way, right?
Yeah.
So I did get slapped. It turned out that one of the products I had been selling was so this is a auction that has freight, like so there's all kinds, right? Liquidations, returns from Home Depot and Target, the
Mhm.
ones that everybody knows. But then
Right.
there are also things that were insurance claims, right? So
Mm.
this was a pallet that was on its way to a particular reseller that was based here in Georgia. It was a pet food product. Amazing sales rank and everything else. I'm like, whoa, and it sold amazing. The owner calls me and says that when she received that shipment, one or two pallets was missing. She placed a claim and the claim was denied. And those two pallets showed up at the auction.
Wow.
And so it ended up being this huge court case. Now, I was 100% in the so my boss that I mentioned earlier and but now business partner,
Hmm.
he's an attorney, which comes in handy. And he said, "You're 100% legitimate ownership." Like I didn't have to worry about anything criminal. But obviously, as far as Amazon was concerned, got me squashed from the listing.
Yeah, that was stolen goods basically
Right, right.
from their
Now,
vantage point.
on another, it happened again with this powder product. I forget what it was. Supplements. The CEO sent me an email, really nasty email. I said, "You know what? I'm going to call get on the phone with him." I'm explaining to him, "Dude, here's what's going on." It was nice. And he goes, "Do you realize you're selling against me? You're buying for less than I manufactured this for." He's like, "Stop." And I'm like, "Okay." I said, "Look, I didn't do anything wrong." I said, "I'm just a guy looking for product. I find them, I bid on them, I win them, and I sell them." I was like, "I'm not the criminal here." He's like, "I understand, but do you understand what you're doing to my business?" So we became friends, and I said, "Well, let me be a wholesaler for you." And he's like, "You know what he told me? You can't make enough profit. I see what it sells for on Amazon. I can't sell it to you for enough margins for you to make it worth your while." He knew that, but he was really cool, and he bought the pallet from me.
Bought
He
it back.
said, take it off of, but the lesson in that is number one, don't sell that stuff on Amazon. Number
Right.
two, don't be afraid
Pick up the phone.
to pick up the phone. And I was scared because I was like, but I was like, I got to do it. I just got to do it. And it ended up working out okay, you know.
That's cool.
But there's so much stuff. The cool part about it is every 2 weeks I go to this auction, 1,600 pallets, and I spend an entire day there. It's like replens, like when you go to the store. But the coolest part of this is that I'm buying a pallet of stuff for sometimes less than what your first order from the wholesaler would be. So my
Mhm.
risk profile is ridiculously low.
Right.
Now, where it gets a little hairy, if I could show you the warehouse, I've got a warehouse and 4 storage units full of stuff because you could sell 10% of your product and you're already making a profit. But slow movers sit for a long time and you need to store it
Mhm.
when you're buying it in that kind of quantity. But you
Right.
can make that calculation when you go to those auctions. You can go in there and just look up the product. And I do all my research, the Keepa, everything else, and I place my bids accordingly because it's silent bid, right? We're
Mhm.
all bidding on a hidden piece of paper. You don't know if the guy next to you is going to bid or not.
Right.
I've gotten materials for my home. I'm redoing floors. I got vanities. We redid the bathrooms for pennies on the dollar. So there's other benefits to it, but that's something that I've become very passionate about. And I've learned a ton, and I'm going to keep learning more, because what that has done is allowed me to go part-time in my other business. And it really has funded not only my business growth, but the second business I started with these young men. I've been able to finance that company. You know what I'm saying?
Hmm.
And that I know is going to blossom into an incredible business. It already is,
Yeah.
but at a
70,000 a
very
month.
low risk
Yeah.
profile.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, you've learned some very valuable lessons. I think it's going to serve some people well to just kind of listen through your story. They're going to relate. So many good lessons to pull from this today,
Yeah,
for sure.
yeah,
But
and that's why I wanted to share it, because I wanted anyone who's afraid.
yeah,
There's a light at the end of the tunnel, man.
yeah.
Just dive in, like one day at a time. I mean, I know a lot of times this stuff weighs on you heavily, and but don't let it stop you from doing something that would work, or and just dip your toe in the water. The beauty of, like you say it all the time, e-commerce is something. And garage sale. I mean, I still go to garage sales, and those are, anyone who's like, I don't know what to start with, go to garage sales, man. There's garage sales in my community, in multi-million-dollar subdivisions that you go. There's $5 items that are brand new that are worth 100. I promise you, it's
Yeah.
there.
They're
But
everywhere. Yeah.
just don't even buy. Just spend the day going on eBay or whatever. eBay, I love it because you can see sold items and how fast they sell, and you'll see, like, oh, I'll put $1 on this. I'll put $1 on that. You
Mhm.
risk $10 and you have a chance to make hundreds, and
Mhm.
you learn. Why
Mhm.
not?
The business I'm most excited about, as I've just kind of listened through your story and where you're at right now, is what you have going with those two young men, because that's actually an asset that you can sell at some point. One of the reasons that we steer people away typically of going super deep on only like liquidation, yard sale, that kind of thing, is because you end up with a death pile of product that's hard to move typically. Now you can make a good living, but when you're
Yes.
done, no one wants that business, man. And
Yeah.
you can't set it and forget it kind of thing. You're the decision
Absolutely.
maker who's on the line, right?
Yeah.
So well, that's the reason we tend to usher people towards the replens model than
Oh,
maybe
sure.
wholesale or branded bundles. And because now you're building an asset and now you can sell it someday.
I
But
agree
those
100%.
opportunities out there to hustle and put money in the bank, liquidation, eBay, yard sale. I mean, my phone rang here just a couple days ago as we're sitting here earlier this week, and someone has, best estimate I can tell, between $25,000 and $100,000 worth of stuff in a house. The husband has died. The
Mm.
wife is now in an assisted living, and they're ready to empty the house and sell. It's like, just turn it into money. Can you help us? Free inventory. We're gonna
Oh, I saw that
yeah,
post. Yeah, I commented
exactly.
on
So
that post.
after
Yeah.
all of our expenses are paid, we split what remains with them. And they've got just all kinds of incredible finds and stuff
Oh,
that's still in the box, and collections from 70s, 80s, 90s. It's incredible. Those opportunities are everywhere. It didn't cost
everywhere.
me anything. Right. So if you're ready to
Absolutely.
hustle, you have a team, you can take advantage of those kind of things. Beautiful.
Can I tell
Beautiful.
you one more quick story, and I promise I'm
Yeah,
done?
for sure.
County auctions.
Hmm.
County auctions. I stumbled on one. I walked around. There were these four machines on the ground. It was an outdoor, sitting in the grass. Walked up, and I'm looking at these things. They look like washing machines. There were four of them. He starts the bidding at $1,000. No bidders. He keeps dropping. 500, 500, 500, 250, 250, 100, 50, 25, $10. I'll take it for $10. You want all four of them? $40. No idea what they were. People were coming up to me at the auction. What are these? I don't know. I'll figure it out. They were water samplers. Okay. Big old washing machine looking thing. You put it by a lake owned by the water company, the water department.
Yeah.
And it had a computer in it. It puts a tube into the lake and takes samples through as a pump, puts them in test tubes, and then they bring it back and test it on a regular basis. Insulated, protected from the elements. $15,000 brand new, each one of them. Two of them were functional and two of them were not. The two that were functional, I sold on eBay for $2,400 each. And the broken ones I sold for $500 or $600 a piece.
Hmm.
$40 investment.
Yeah.
Just going to the auction,
Yep.
just go. I think auctionzip.com is the website that has a lot of the goofiest auctions that you'd be like, this looks ridiculous. Just go. I
Mhm.
promise you.
What was that website again? I didn't.
Auctionzip.com.
Auction zips.
It'll
Yeah.
show you all the local auctions, and
Yeah.
then you can kind of you'll see, like, one was a movie studio. I've been to auctions that just caught my eye. I was like, oh, let me go. Never failed to put serious money in my pocket. Like I said, I'm using all of that money to get to a more stable business, because 100% I agree with you. that, I want to sleep at night. I don't want to wonder, I had, those were very nerve wracking when I had those issues. I got a lawyer letter, I'm just like, ooh, what am I, I thought I was just buying and selling. What the heck? But it serves the purpose. A lot of times you don't have a lot of money, so you do those things, save the money, and then go do replens, man.
Yeah.
That's the path, right? Because people are afraid to go to replens, thinking I don't have the money. That's a great way to raise money and to learn. You're also learning, so that
Yeah.
helps.
It's a good way to wade into e-commerce.
Yes,
That's the lowest entry point, is just
and it's
flipping stuff. And
fun.
I mean,
Yeah,
someone
it's
just posted in the Facebook group today. They just posted on in their neighborhood, say, "Hey, I'll split. If you got stuff you want to sell, I'll sell it online and split the money." And your phone rings constantly.
mm-hmm.
There's just no excuse if you're ready to go into hustle mode. But then once you've got those funds, getting into something a little more intentional, where you're building a brand, building branded bundles,
Oh yeah,
maybe opening an agency like you talked about, helping some other brands, which, it's not a complex business model. It just isn't. At that point, you've got the skills to tell brands, hey, I can help. Worst case scenario is we sell a few items on Amazon, right? It's not a huge risk for
absolutely.
anybody. It's a great business model, proven product partnering, that module. But yeah,
Do you?
lots of opportunity. I love that your story kind of wandered into some very sustainable, stable, consistent producing ideas
Mhm.
that allowed us to end kind of like with a note of hope. There's a lot of people out there kind of struggling,
Oh yeah,
and hopefully, I think this is going to encourage a lot of people. Like, all right, I just need to get out there and do some of this,
I hope
and
so.
and
I hope
and
so.
then if we can be of help, we've got a great coaching program. You're going to be doing some coaching with us, probably
Yeah,
maybe
I
on
started
the.
as a coach. That was another very frightening thing for me, but I know I could help people, and regardless of what I feel, and it's just something to help me grow and help me grow while I help someone else grow. And it's like it's a win-win across the board. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah,
Honestly.
well, excited to have you on the team and look forward to seeing you in May at the Proven
Yes.
Conference. But we need to wrap this episode up, man. This is one
Yes.
of our longer ones I've
Oh
done,
yeah.
and I've got
Yeah.
I've got to finish my day out here.
Don't want
So
to interview in Italian, man.
yeah,
This.
no, dude, you did an excellent job. It's great hanging out with you,
Thank
and
you.
I,
Thank you.
it was a
It
real
definitely
privilege.
got easier as we got going.
Oh, for sure, man.
Yeah.
We've got a great story, and it just shows the longevity of what's kind of happened. Is kind of a story of the industry, and
Oh,
kind of
for
where you
sure.
ended up now is a really good place. So it's good to see you there, man. Thanks for being such a loyal part of this community for so
Thank you,
long.
Jim. Thank you.
Yeah.
And thank you for doing what you do because, it's the information is great and everything else, but it's the hope that gives a lot of people like me to know when whatever's going on, that somebody out there has worse and has done amazing things. So
Mm.
don't ever stop doing this because it's just amazing how it changes lives. And we all, I know I'm speaking for the entire community when I say thank you very much for everything you do and keep
Mm.
rocking it, brother.
Thanks for that, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, I love doing it. It's been very quick 23 years, dude.
I'm telling you, it
E-commerce.
goes quick, man.
Yep.
It goes quick.
But God bless you, man. We'll connect
God
again
bless you.
soon. Thanks for
Thanks.
hanging out with us.
Thanks, Jim.
All
Take
right.
care.
Bye for now.
Bye.
Hey, thanks for hanging out with us today. I hope you enjoyed the episode. Before I let you go, one last reminder: hummingbird.com, today's sponsor for all your trademarks, corporate setup, branding, marketing needs, and yes, tax services as an Amazon e-commerce seller. Book a schedule appointment with them today to take care of all those paperwork things that you don't want to have to mess with. They're really good at it. They'll take good care of you. Tell them I sent you. Hummingbird.com, HUMNBIRD.com. Thanks for being a sponsor of this program. Hey, we'll see you next time.